Hanging out with Bart Millard today from Mercy Me. What's going on?
Not much. Just glad to see anyone right now.
Right. I think you have a lot going on actually from following you on Instagram. I think there's a bunch of stuff happening with Mercy Me.
Yeah, we've been kind of holed up for this entire pandemic, keeping to ourselves, making an album, and complaining about how, man, I just wish I had stuff to do and miss touring. And then all of a sudden it's like you go into full promo mode and it's like, oh, like I know I'm sitting in a chair, but I think I'm sore from all this work. And it's like I'm a little unconditioned, I guess.
I bet so. Like here in California, kids are finally back in school. Kids are finally playing youth sports again, and I'm running 3 kids and doing the show, running them to all their activities. I feel like I'm running a marathon that I didn't train for because I have so much time.
True. Yeah, and especially when everything gets put on hold and you're a little anxious, but at the same time, like, not too bad. It's like getting acclimated to a cruise. The first couple of days is like you're a caged animal. Then you slow down, like, man, I get used to this. And then Little League starts for my 5 kids, what it feels like. And it's like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
That's what's happening in my world. Yes. So I'm like, wait a second. All right. So I would love to play a little game with you today called the Fantastic Four. It's 4 questions that reveal a lot about your soul. Okay. So you game for the Fantastic 4 questions. Number 1, how do you... Okay. All right. Number 1, how do you order your burger at In-N-Out?
I get a single with cheese, ketchup, mustard, pickles only, and my fries have to be well done.
Well done. See,
lemonade, always pink lemonade.
Oh, there you go. I dubbed you as like protein style guy. All right.
No.
So it's simple. So you're still keeping it basic, keeping it simple, not going too animal style.
Oh, no way. I'm still the cheese, meat, and bread kid. I'm still an 11-year-old at heart.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now, second question. What do you order at Starbucks, and how do you actually order it when you are talking to the barista?
Well, now I'm all
like
about
pretend
I'm now with a mobile order. I don't know when the last time I've talked to someone in Starbucks, but I literally, and I'm not kidding, it's probably every day I get a venti Irish cream cold brew. I'm not kidding, every day. Yeah.
Well, so you just start your day with your mobile order, pick it up, boom, there you go. Yeah. What's an Irish cold brew? That sounds amazing.
Cream is like it's one of those, they put the foam on top and it kind of sinks into the coffee, and I'm not sure what it is. I know it tastes really good and it's got less calories than salted caramel, so I'm trying. Not trying very much. It's only 10,000 calories instead of 2,500.
So what does this reveal about your personality? I believe that our Starbucks orders match who we are. So I'm thinking, you're like super trendy and cool. Like you kind of like to be hip with the kids, maybe to stay hip with your kids. And like, you're really trying to be super trendy. And you're like, oh, this is cold brew. I'm into the cold brew now because that's what all the kids are doing.
No, I am the dad jokes, embarrass my kids in public, opposite of trendy to them, and all it says is like it just has to it tastes good. And so I'm not much of a hot drink guy, even if it's cold outside, because it's trust issues. If I find something I like, I don't venture out, and then I just like a venti will last me most of the day, and I'm down to like chewing the ice, just something to do. And so, but I like consistent,
that's the fact that you get the same thing every day. It's consistency. You're scheduled. You're maybe kind of orderly in life, and you're super dependable for the band. I'm thinking.
I try. Like I'm not. When we travel all the time, like people are like, "Man, we got to find this local coffee shop." I'm like, "Why? Starbucks is the same in every town. It's just fine." Like, and I know what I want. Why? Because I'm going to have one coffee. Don't ruin this day by me making a bad choice.
I got it. So yes. So you're always dependable, the same, like jean jacket, hoodie, hat every day. This is what I'm going to do. Okay.
Yes, I try to be. Yes. If I could wear the same shirt like in every day, I probably would not think about it.
Okay. That is awesome. All right. Question number 3, ebook or real book?
Ooh, uh, out of convenience, it's ebook. Preference would be real book, if that makes sense.
Same thing with your Bible. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. During the pandemic, if I'm home, I'd absolutely want my real Bible, but I can't remember the last time I actually took it to church because all my notes stay with me if they're on my phone, if it makes sense. So, yeah.
Oh, I like that. See, I'm the opposite. I have to keep my real Bible because all my notes are in that. So I feel like my whole life is in that thing.
Totally. But then I'm the same way, but then I would find myself like out of convenience, not going to it enough. And there's always a time where I'm like, man, what did he say? And I realize I'm always checking the phone. And so I try to actually put more of my notes in there. And during the pandemic, I would even like write some of them down in my Bible later, but it's just easier to keep up with. And it's more for me about having access and whenever I need it.
I like it. It's safer too. It's in the cloud. It will never get lost. That's why I live in fear of losing all of those notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so what are you reading right now? That's question number 4. Now we're into serious. Anything interesting that you're reading at the moment?
I'm actually rereading a book called The Cure by John Lynch, which was, it changed my life 7 or 8 years ago. And it's all about grace and identity. And it was just, I decided when I was during the pandemic, I was trying to like find something to read. And then I came across and was like, you know what? It wouldn't hurt to have a refresher on this. And just, I love it so much. I've never recommended a book more than The Cure, I believe, to people.
Oh, wow. Why should I read it?
Well, if you've ever grown up in anything that's remotely legalistic and struggle with doubt and shame and letting go of your past and having a hard time believing that on your worst possible day, Jesus is not only okay with you, but he's actually pleased with you. If those are things you wrestle with, this book will set you free. And it's talking about how we travel down the road of good intentions. We mean well, but it ends up being works to where the road of grace is, man, even on your worst, you could screw it up. And Jesus is going to say, man, that looks rough. Let's get through it together. And it's something I've had to learn time and time again. Like it changed everything from like Welcome to Lifer and the last 3 albums are because of that transformation, like Discovering Fire, to where after 27 years, I feel like we've only made 3 albums.
Wow. That's awesome. Okay, yeah, that's the next book I'm going to read for sure. Thank you. So one thing that we do, we kind of have a hashtag for our show, call it Get Your Brave On. It's just like an action because we feel like bravery, God says it's not an option. Have I not commanded you to be strong and courageous? But I promise to go with you wherever you go. So I love to get people's Get Your Brave On stories because I think it's contagious when you hear somebody overcoming fear. So if I could put you on the spot, what is something that you were afraid of, but you pushed through, as we say, get your brave on anyway, and it turned out okay?
Oh man, gosh, it's like I have a long list of things. Like I don't know if you're an Enneagram person at all, but I'm a 6, which means that I struggle with fear, and trust is like the big things for me. And I'm a phobic 6, which means it kind of paralyzes me sometimes because of fear. And so yeah, it's I mean, a general one is just stepping out into the unknown and when everything about me says I'm ill-equipped and not capable or whatever, and just trying to put myself out there, whether it's literally going to dinner with people I don't know very well to I haven't bungee jumped, but it's that kind of stuff of like, man, if it's crippling, I want to try to get through that. Because it makes you feel alive. And yeah, and another one for me lately has been, especially with this album, man, it's every song I've written that's important to me is about my own life experience. Like, I feel confident in telling my story, and whether it's when my son got diabetes or my dad dying of cancer. And also I'm very forgiving if I don't get it, if I miss the mark or whatever. And on this album, for the first time, really, songs like Say I Won't and Bright Side of Broken, like I found inspiration in telling someone else's story, so to speak, like motivated by somebody else instead of my own experience. And that's been very intimidating because I'm so afraid I'm going to get it wrong or not do a good job. It's one thing if it's mine, I'll be like, it's fine. But it's like, it's to tell in any way, shape, or form to tell someone else's story, you really want to treat it with kid gloves and do it right. I know that sounds weird, but that's been a fear of mine and the reason I've never done it. But it became a source of inspiration because these stories are literally what got me through this pandemic, is just being a part of it. And it's like and it was almost like I wanted to honor them and try to tell the story for them, if you will. And it's just a weird, I don't know. I've avoided that kind of stuff because of the fear of failure and not doing it well. And I'm like, man, this is, people need to hear this. So it's kind of, I mean, it's weird, but that's been a fear of mine, and overcoming it has been a big deal to actually go through that and work with them and make sure that they're okay with it and stuff. Has been an interesting process.
Good for you. I think my favorite quote about failure, I don't know where I got it. It was totally stealing it from someone, is failure is not a tattoo. It's just a bruise. It'll heal. I always remind myself. It's just, that's going to heal. Well, that's what you did with Say I Won't, right? You're telling the story of others. For those of us that are watching that maybe don't know the inspiration for your song, Say I Won't, can you give me a quick little story behind the song of what inspired you to write that song? What you want it to inspire the listener to hear or to feel when they hear the song?
When I started 2019, it started as about identity, kind of like that book I was telling you about, is like when you realize what you have, the same spirit that raised Christ from the dead inside of you, when you realize that, there's nothing you can't do. It's like the line, driving 35 with a rocket inside, didn't know what I had. And that's where it started. And it's not uncommon to step away from a song and revisit it when you feel like you're stuck. And that's kind of what happened. Well, in that time of stepping away, Gary Miracle, who was our first merch guy 25 years ago, a roommate of ours, a dear friend, he got really sick Christmas of 2019, and he flatlined for like 7 minutes. They thought they were going to lose him. They finally got him back, put him on life support to give his heart and lungs a break. And in the meantime, they knew he was going to be on that for so long, he was going to lose his legs and his arms just because of, just a lack of blood flow and stuff like that. And so sure enough, that happened. His outlook on life was unbelievable afterwards. His attitude and just his confidence in Christ was, it just could have gone any way. And it blew my mind how he handled it. And so he didn't realize how much I had to watch from a distance because of the pandemic, was consumed with the story. And so I go back to Say I Won't, and it becomes this kind of overcomer, like Rocky moment, to where it's like, keep saying I won't, and I'll keep proving you wrong. And we knew it was going to be the first single. Went to the label, and we all were like, we can't tour, we can't promote much, we're stuck at home, we want the video to be really powerful. And so the label said, well, we've heard this story about this family, I think someone had ALS, maybe you could share that. And it felt kind of sticky or slimy because we didn't know. It felt like we were exploiting a story to sell a song. And I remember saying, I said, man, we don't know him. I don't want it to, this song's about Gary. And I went, wait, it's about Gary. Like, why don't we tell Gary's story? There's a trust there. We'll protect him. And so I called Gary and asked him how he felt about it, just how he was doing. And he was like, man, emotionally and spiritually, he goes, I want people to be inspired by this. And I want there to be a purpose for all this, but I don't know if I'm there spiritually or emotionally to get on a stage and talk. And I was like, well, man, why don't you let us tell the story for you and do all the heavy lifting, and we'll protect you from that. And just, he was in tears, like, man, we didn't even know what we were praying for, but this is exactly what we would need. He goes, there's no one else on the planet that we would trust this with other than you guys. And so the video turned out better than we ever thought possible. We've written so many funeral songs in our career, I guess, and this one's all about living. It's about taking advantage of every second that we're given, and not just because of Gary, but with everything that we've all gone through. It just seemed like, it's so funny because we just heard today that a couple of stations aren't playing it because it kind of has an attitude with it, which I'm kind of like, oh, well, you're not wrong, because I think we all kind of have a little bit of, we have a little bit of an attitude with this whole pandemic of just like, you know what, I'm ready to get back to normal. I'm ready to live. I'm ready to, and it wasn't meant that way, but I guess I kind of see it. It's like, just watch and see what I can do. And so we're pretty proud of it. And just, I think we've created a monster with Gary, because now, like, every day he's like, hey, it's slowing down the charts. What's going on? You guys working? We're like, easy there, pal. Like, we're going to be fine. record exec.
I love that. I love to hear that inside story about how he's reacting to the song. That is awesome. Well, I get it. I feel the same way. Like, I've raised my kids pretty much on my own for 10 years. And I love that. Say I won't.
Yeah.
That attitude. Yeah. I feel like it's an okay attitude to have, especially for me. It was like, say I won't buy a house on my own. I can do that on my own. Say I won't be able to do that. I can do that, but it's not because I'm on my own. I know God's got my back.
Yeah.
He's been with me the whole way. Well, you're awesome. I didn't get to one question, but I gotta let you go. So I really appreciate your time and appreciate your ministry. Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Awesome. Take care. Good talking to you.